I do have a prayer. Oh, you want, okay. Jim has a prayer for us.
Thank you, God, for peace of mind. I come to you, God, because I need peace of mind. When I read the newspapers, listen to the radio, watch TV, I sometimes become disturbed and upset, anxious and fearful. I do not want to feel this way, but I am part of the world and I need peace of mind. Many of us pray for such a prayer, consciously or unconsciously. This is our world. We feel a sense of responsibility. We want to bless our world and the people in it. Worry as we well know, is not the answer, but prayer is quite anxious. Prayer will quiet anxiety. Prayer will inspire thoughts and words and actions that will help to bless, change conditions. Whoever we are, wherever we are, our prayers are needed. As we find peace of mind, as we release fear and doubt, we add to the peace of our world. Our prayer can be, thank you, God, that this is our world, this is your world, that you are in charge. I am knowing this now. I have peace of mind. He is our peace. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jim. Okay, Commissioner's Office report on items approved June 26th.
On June 26, 2020, for maintenance, I approved and executed a service contract agreement with Gable Elevator Incorporated to perform maintenance and inspections on the Geauga County Annex elevator for a 2-year period with the option to renew for an additional 2 years at an amount not to exceed $10,000. Approved and again, also for maintenance, approved and executed the service contract agreement with Melski Incorporated doing business as Paul Davis, Cleveland Metro, to replace rear annex steps for the period of 1 year in an amount not to exceed $10,000. For transit, approved hiring David Letter Jr. to the position of Operations Manager, number 2218, to be effective July 13, 2020, at the rate of $24.46 per hour with a 1-year probationary period. This offer of employment is contingent upon the successful completion of the required pre-employment conditions. Approved hiring Kim Sass to the position of Road Supervisor, to be effective July 7, 2020, at the rate of $21.98 per hour with a 1-year probationary period. This offer of employment is contingent upon the successful completion of the required pre-employment conditions. Accepted the retirement resignation of John Martin, part-time driver, to be effective June 29, 2020. And on June 29, 2020, approved for the Airport Authority, acknowledged and approved reimbursement request number 10 for FAA grant project number 3-39-0054-020-2018 to install runway 11/29 lighting, taxiway connector lighting, install runway 11/29 end identifier lights, install precision approach path indicator, and install beacon and lighted wind cone in the amount of $39,673.15, $35,706 FAA portion, $1,984 ODOT portion, and $1,983.15 local county match.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Commissioner's Office requesting the board approve and execute resolution number 20-069, itemizing the financials for the meeting of June 3rd.
So today's financials include a cash transfer from the courts, the sheriff, engineer, aging, and transit for unemployment payments from to the state for May. A cash transfer from the sheriff's office for the Amish DARE grant to the general fund for payroll expenses that should have come out of the grant but were paid for by the general fund from years 2014 to 2019. Encumbrances include travel requests from the Clerk of Courts for the Court Clerk Association's quarterly meetings. Also from JFS for HVAC system maintenance and troubleshooting training. A contract PO from Water Resources to Trax Construction Company for the Chardon Township Wastewater Treatment Plant and Collection System project. Among the vouchers are $8,169.75 from Common Pleas to Courtview Justice Solutions for service and support of the court's case management software, $19,418.40 from the engineer's office to Southeastern Equipment for one E-Redeemer Model 20X PT trailer, and $51,912.76 from the sheriff's office to CenturyLink Communications for their Vesta 911 operations software annual maintenance agreement, and revenue certification from Aging in their emergency food revenue account for new donations and federal funds that will be received.
The travel request from clerk of courts for court clerk association meetings, are they actually having meetings?
Yeah, these are starting with the July meeting. So they did 3 of them, and they added Sheila Bevington.
In person?
I believe so, yeah. They're to go to Columbus.
I'm surprised. Okay. And then the contract PO for water resources to Trax Construction, what's the amount for that? Do you have that? Maybe
It's $5,077,215.49. And that's for the
Yep.
Sharp Township
Okay.
wastewater treatment plant collection system.
Okay, and were there any, was there any vouchers from juvenile probate court today?
I did not have any juvenile court. There was one probate court voucher that paid $127.65 to Thomas Swift for a travel reimbursement.
Does Thomas Swift, is he an employee of the county?
I believe that he is, yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
All right, make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Shane. Oh, Frank's here, okay.
Good morning, Frank.
Thank you. How you doing? Good.
Okay. Let her rip.
So we have the Deer MOU up here. We've been very pleased with job and use since Tim Albright. I don't think any of you have had any negative issues with that. It's been very positive the past couple of years, so much so that we're looking at extending it to a 3-year agreement this time around. Same cost schedule, same procedure, methods, all that sort of thing, just literally extending it to 3 years. Yeah, we've been very happy with that, and we filled the need a couple of years ago, and that's been working really well for us, so.
Nice.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, motion please.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWar?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you very much.
Morning, Shane.
Good morning. Did you skydive here this morning?
No, I did not. I did ride my motorcycle.
I saw some pretty cool pictures of you. It's free diving all weekend.
Oh, really?
What was it, like a big, like G3 or something, or you just do that every weekend?
No, it was, they brought in an extra big plane and hot air, people were jumping out of hot air balloons.
Yeah.
Good time.
I want to do it. I want to try.
Why not join me?
I do it, yeah. As I'm sitting
Once.
here, as I'm
At
sitting
least
here,
once.
I'm like, "Ah, I'll do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, until you get in the plane.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're gonna be like, no way.
So today we are here to ask for the board to approve the award for Davis Diggers to perform the drainage improvements on Bell Street in the amount of $128,440.50. This is a storm sewer and drainage system along the section of Bell between Munn and Auburn, and the sewer is failing and causing damage to the road. And that section of Bell Street is part of our resurfacing program that will be resurfaced in 2021. This is a preemptive measure to protect our roadway infrastructure and ahead of the paving project.
So, okay, great. Any questions? No. Okay,
I make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Scott. Morning.
Morning. How's everything?
Good. Okay.
This is a tower lease. Somebody else wants to go on the main tower there that's at DES, right behind us. The lease is for $2,500 a month for 5 years. That's a pretty good deal. And, you know, part of the reason we do that is that they don't build other towers either. So the county makes some money, they can co-locate on ours, and we don't have more towers popping up.
Yeah, that's totally awesome. Yeah.
So it's 30 grand a year, you know, 150,000 in 5 years.
Yeah, that's great.
It's $540 more than nearly identical project we did in Parkman.
Wow.
So are there multiple partners involved in that? You know, any different equipment on that, or is it just one that we use to?
We just lease to the operator.
Oh, okay.
Their subcontractors will be doing.
And they can put all kinds of whatever up there?
Well, no, they submit drawings, that's part of the bid package, and they can only install what's been approved.
I see, okay.
They had to submit a structural analysis to make sure that the equipment they're installing is within the safe load limits of the tower.
Okay. So is it mostly with cell, is it cell tower or?
This is a microwave network, this is a high-frequency trader, so they're building a network between Chicago and New York for financial trading.
Okay.
So they're trying to beat trades coming in via fiber by a few milliseconds.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I know that line runs right in front of my business, and it's, you know, they're very sensitive to digging out front.
Okay.
Yeah, because of things like live, I guess, for the exchanges or whatever. Yeah, yeah. Very good. Okay.
I was hopeful they were gonna have cell service now on.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Fire
maybe,
department.
yeah, going down by the fire
Yeah, we
department.
don't
Verizon is paying rent, aren't they?
Verizon is paying rent for the DES tower. They haven't begun construction, so they've been paying, well, the fee to reserve their spot, but they have a fully executed lease, but we haven't begun any construction yet.
Yeah, what's nice about that is you don't, it slows down some of the towers from being built. That's cool. Yeah.
Excellent.
That's a nice lease for sure.
Okay, any other questions?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Morning, Jessica.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Okay, 2 things on the agenda today. The first is to be able to use a BP business fuel card. We typically do our business refueling in Centerra, but sometimes we find ourselves in Cleveland with an out-of-county medical appointment or at a meeting, so we want to make sure if we run low on gas on the other side of town, we're able to fill up and make it back to the county. So we have just a few individuals authorized to use that. We have 9 cards because we have 9 vehicles and we have a card in each vehicle. This is $2,000 per month cap for the following employees. My fiscal officer, my transportation drivers, and my leadership staff.
So let me ask you something. Are those card holders already on the county credit card too?
So we have a few different house accounts, and really the only credit card we technically have, I think, is a Giant Eagle card. Different staff are on different cards depending on if they use them.
Okay.
So most of them are on the Centerra house account, but we only have a select staff on these cards. So we don't have a general credit card for our
I see. Okay, sounds good. I'll make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Number 7, a couple weeks ago, you authorized us to submit an application for emergency food through the Emergency Food and Shelter Local Board Program. That's a collaborative of FEMA, American Red Cross, Jewish Federation, Salvation Army, and United Way. And we are very pleased that we received a total of $12,500. $4,500 is from Phase 37, and $8,000 is from CARES funding, and that will be used to supplement food for our food pantry, as well as to assist with home delivered meals.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Thank
you all
you.
so much.
Have a great day. Morning, Glenn.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
Oh, peachy yourself.
Same thing. What you got? Lease agreement?
Lease agreement for Jim Timmons, the farm, he farms property down by the county home and over by the hospital. He's been farming it for quite some time, so keep it going. We also look at the taxes and everything to make sure that it pays for the taxes that we get charged for on that property.
So it's, says for a period of 3 years with an option to renew, for an additional 3-year period, an amount of $55 per acre per year for farm total of 32 acres. Okay, is that about the normal going right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually
That's
probably a
what we
little
did.
higher.
Higher?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did the same with Burton Township, he farms over there too.
Win-win.
With that, I make a motion.
Second?
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
The next one is just a regular maintenance contract, service agreement for $30,000 not to exceed. $25,000 for county buildings and the safety center not to exceed $5,000. This is for cleaning the carpets. We get them cleaned twice a year, right after the winter, and then right before we go into the winter. Especially with all the salt and everything, so we try to get all the carpets done.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Glenn. Bye-bye now.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
Living the dream in Geauga County. Pretty good.
You have a hat for that?
No, I just have my standard GCDWR hat on. So we have 2 items today for the board. The first item, number 11, we're requesting the board approve and authorize GCDW to get back money from Ohio Water Development Authority Fund. It's our payment request number 3 for Auburn Corners wastewater treatment plant expansion, Troy Oaks. The amount of $426,720.84. That's money we'd be getting back from the loan agency for the money we paid for the contract.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Aye. Yep.
Number 12, we're asking the board approve and execute supplemental agreement with the Village of Chagrin Falls for ordinance 2020-21. Exhibit 1, supplemental agreement regarding the engineering design and construction of Phase 1 of future plant improvements to the sanitary sewer treatment plant located in the Village of Chagrin Falls, and that's the Meadowbrook plant. Supplemental agreement, we agree to pay for part of the planning and construction of their Phase 1 improvements to Meadowbrook wastewater treatment plant. It's a supplemental agreement already in place for the county agreed to pay 22% of some of the costs. It's a 20-year loan, and we would pay approximately $29,850 a year for 20 years as part of that Phase 1 agreement.
Okay.
Make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. The next 2 are me.
Okay.
And this is to acknowledge receipt of the request for public depository from the county treasurer in accordance with ORC 135.33 of the aggregate amount of active and non-active monies to be deposited in the amount of $100 million. And the Commissioner's Office is requesting the board grant permission to advertise for public depository applications no earlier than August 2nd, 2020, and no later than 2 o'clock on August 19, 2020. Notifications of this upcoming term agreement for public depository will be sent to all eligible institutions in Geauga County and include an application form. On Tuesday, September 1st, 2020, the county commissioners will designate public depositories for the next succeeding 4-year period. And notice of this application will be published on July 2nd and on the county website. This is what you talked to Mr. Hitchcock this morning about the reinvestment advisory.
Quick question, does it have to be a Geauga County financial institution or not?
Well, they have to be eligible institution in Geauga County.
Okay.
So their main branch could be somewhere else, but they have to have facilities.
presence here, okay.
Yes.
Very well. Any questions, comments?
Good.
Motion, please.
So move.
Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes. Okay, very good.
We have about 9 minutes before the public hearing. So recess for a few minutes and then come back.
Yeah. Let's do that.
No motion to recess.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I was like,
We already spent.
Well, that-
Absolutely.
Or whatever.
Absolutely. Well, we gotta get real creative in what we say is COVID related, so like, so all these department heads will start thinking differently, like, how was this, you know, that's kind of fun. I think so, right? I mean, how much plexiglass is
So I would say that is our probably long-term goal for the run fast parks, but for the rest of this year, I don't think it is like let's practice.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to go into that.
I don't think anybody
Policing, yeah. Okay, but you know, it's like, so the unused amount comes back. Yeah, but so you got like the townships, you got the city, you got all the,
Well,
I mean,
it's already been spread, like that's.
but they have to apply for it.
Yeah, they have to go through the same process we did. We
Yeah.
just passed that resolution last week.
Yeah.
I think it was, that we followed the rules. That was submitted.
And then I think the town does spend a amount, it comes back. We get, we're entitled to 25% after round two. So, you know. Yeah. It's got, you know, so it's not that, but I mean, the problem is, the hard part, like I started thinking about it, is what is, you can only spend so much on, like, you know, hand sanitizer and PPE and plexiglass, but like, is there other things that you think that, well, like computers, like laptops, and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
we can reimburse for some for that.
Yes. Okay.
The problem is it took so long for the state to distribute its funds that, you know, now it's short time frame, but it's also kind of, there's not a short time to say, we're now gonna do this special because they care, because it's.
Yeah, and then you got till October.
We've already done everything special, so now we have to. So it's,
I know. Well, hopefully we've been keeping track. I'm sure we have.
yeah, we have.
Talk to Roger.
If we got that money back in March, we distributed it to the
Yeah,
state.
yeah.
Then we would show them at that point and say, well, here's some other things we can do.
Right.
And use these funds.
But it's so specific. That's the way it works. So it can't go to any capital, no capital, nothing. Like, that would be nice if you could use it towards stuff that's.
Well, one of the things we can do is.
Okay. I got 9:30.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Any overtime? Overtime? Yeah. Okay, good. Yes, okay. So we're coming back from recess. It is 9:30 a.m., Tuesday the 30th, and Adrian is going to present the tax budget.
Hold on 1 second. I need a motion to waive the reading.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Right? Yes. All right, thank you, Adrian.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming out to take a look at the 2021 tax budget for Geauga County. I want to take a moment just to introduce myself. My name is Adrian Gordon. I'm the Budget Finance Manager for the Commissioners. Also Jerry Morgan, County Administrator, Debbie Ashburn, Fiscal Specialist, And of course, the commissioners want to thank them and all the departments and everything for all their help in developing this budget and submitting things. And we kind of had to do things in a little bit different manner than we have in the past with all the COVID-19 and the shutdowns and different stuff like that. But everybody put forth a really good effort, and I think we have a pretty good budget. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So the total 2021 tax budget is $125 million. This is approximately $4 million or 3.3% more than the adopted budget, due in large part to the county budgeting for professional contract services in our capital reserve fund. This is not for the actual construction, but it's just to encumber all of our contracts from this year for the architect, owner's rep, and construction managers. In addition, there were some increases in mental health, Metzenbaum, the new drug court in common pleas, and water resources. However, all those are outside of the general fund, and a majority of those were met with equal revenue increases as well. The general fund portion of the budget is $33.9 million. The general fund actually decreased in 2021 by a little over $400,000 versus what was adopted as a permanent appropriations for 2020 back in December. The $1.1 million of requests that remain to get funded are about $300,000 in equipment, vehicles, and contract services, and that's about $235,000 alone for new sheriff vehicles that we're holding off on until either the permanent appropriations or the supplemental, as well as $350,000 that's associated with personnel-related expenses. Again, $294,000 of that is in the sheriff's department, and $500,000 we have outstanding to fully fund our emergency fund. Okay, so the revenue continued to trend up last year. Sales tax and prisoner housing have each continued to go over their budgeted numbers and have both received conservative bumps for next year. It is important to note that these increases in revenue are not an indication that the county has created any new taxes or fees. We had already been receiving this revenue. It's just become part of the carryover in the past instead of being absorbed into the budget like we did a little bit this year. We made what we felt were conservative adjustments to these line items, which were necessary in light of different decreases and future projects. So you can see on the board there, sales tax, we did increase that $750,000, prisoner housing $150,000, the property transfer tax $500,000, defense of indigents $125,000, refunds and reimbursements $100,000, and the cost allocation $50,000. There were several decreases for next year. Property taxes, the estimate that we got from the auditor's office was reduced by $244,000. The casino tax $250,000, and then there were some other smaller reductions. So to go over the revenue for next year, I'll go ahead and turn it over now to Debbie Ashburn.
So as Adrian noted, about $31.5 million is the estimated revenue coming into the general fund for next year. So this chart here kind of depicts how that's going to go and where this money comes from. So almost half, as you can see, almost half of the general fund revenue comes from sales tax, and that's about $14.8 million. And a couple of notes, the sales tax rate, as you probably already know, in Geauga County is 6.75%. 1% of that is what comes to the county. And that 1% is about $14.8 million. The rest of that, 5.75%, goes to the state. And of the 88 counties in Ohio, there are only 3 counties with a tax rate lower than 6.75%. The second largest source of revenue there, about $7.7 million, comes from property tax, and I'm going to break that down for you in a minute. But together, the sales tax and the property tax make up about $22.5 million, or 71% of the general fund revenue. A few of the smaller things there that make up of the remaining 29% are department fees, like those are building fees, fines that are collected by the courts, property tax, property transfer tax, prisoner housing, casino tax, interest income, some local government tax, cost allocations for the departments outside the general fund, and a few other things, miscellaneous. There has been a lot of interest in the sales tax and how it's going to impact the pandemic, how it's going to impact the sales tax that we receive in 2020. And this chart here, I just wanted to show the general sales tax trends over the past 4 years. As you can see, each year is gradually and has gradually increased. In 2016, the total that we collected was $14.5 million. In 17, the total $14.9 million. In 18, $15.4 million. And in 19 last year, a record, I believe, $16 million was collected in sales tax. Another thing I wanted to show here, well, first of all, these months, this is the actual month in which the sales tax was generated. So as you can see, my red line there is 2020, and I can only go to March. And that's because there's a 3-month delay in how we receive sales tax. So your businesses, your restaurants, department stores out there, they're all, okay, whatever sales tax they collected, we'll use March. They don't have to report that until the 23rd of April. And then the state processes that processed it in May, and then we received it in June. So there's this 3-month delay before we see the sales tax that's generated for each month. So now we're anxious to see April and May because those are the months that the pandemic very much affected, but we won't see those effects until July or August. But I do want to point out, though, that in 2020, we estimated the collection to be 14 million. So that's kind of a conservative number going into 2021. We estimated 14.8 million, even though 19 collected 16. That's all right.
The one thing I always like to point out when we talk about the sales tax is that is not all Geauga County residents that are paying that sales tax. Because of where commercial has grown up in this county in the corners, we get a lot of, we don't know exactly what that number is, but there's a lot of outside county residents who come in and purchase goods and some services in Geauga County that they're paying that sales tax, so it's not all on Geauga County residents.
Okay, so moving off of that into the property tax, this is the second largest source. And this chart here is just a breakdown of how every dollar of property tax is spent. And what's important is that the red section, the red slice, is 21 cents. 21 cents is what the county receives for their operations. The rest of that, the largest part of your dollar, goes to the school districts. And then as well as that, it goes to the joint vocational school districts, cities, townships, villages, and a section goes to the library. So I want to concentrate on the 21 cents and how we break that down. So of the 21 cents that the county receives, everything in green that you see has been voted on by Geauga County residents in the form of your levies. And the blue section there is the part that goes to the general fund. So 4.1 cents of your tax dollar goes to the general fund. The rest goes to Metzenbaum, the developmental disabilities, they're the biggest green chunk, the Park District, Job and Family Services, mental health, roads and bridges, the senior citizens, and the health district.
Does anything go to the library from property tax or no?
Yeah,
Their own levy.
Go back,
They go-
that's on the previous slide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the library is that little slice there, they get 3.5 cents out of the
Oh, yeah.
out of the dollar, yep. So if you have any questions, any more questions, I'll send it back over to Adrian.
Thank you, Debbie.
Adrian, the sales tax, are you able to break it down and see, like, say, like what big box stores in the county?
Yeah, the state does do that for us.
So you can see.
Yeah, we can go on to the sales tax or the Department of Taxation for the state of Ohio, their website, and get a breakdown of where everything came from. Fortunately, for the county, we're not as dependent on some of the things that were as hard impacted by the COVID shutdown. A lot of our department stores and things all sell food as well, and they all were able to stay open. We don't have a large amount of automobile dealerships in the county. Those were particularly hard hit. It dropped like 50% or something. So we were able to keep a lot of things open in the county, which helped a lot. So, and two, also the county residents, supporting local businesses even during the shutdowns and stuff. And
What about online sales? How do we,
that's been part of the saving grace, and that's part of the reason why our sales tax has been increasing, is because we are now capturing a lot more of the online purchases from an Amazon or, what have you.
do they break that, does the state break that down into a number you can see, or does it just go into, they just lump that in?
I don't know the answer to that. We can find out though.
I believe right now they're still lumping it in with
Retail?
Retail.
Okay.
As opposed to separating out, because that's only been truly in effect since July of 19,
Yeah.
when the 2-year budget passed, so.
Okay, thank you.
So here's kind of a graphical look of all the various income streams to the county and how they've looked over the years. So your purple area there, the biggest area is your sales tax, and the blue area down there at the bottom, that is the real estate taxes. So those are the two largest portions of the county's revenue. And you can see from this, we continue to want to budget our revenues conservatively. And that's really helped us this year because, we're looking at having probably a pretty substantial impact on our revenue this year. But because we have conservatively budgeted it, the decrease that we're going to experience is still within, what our expected revenue is. And with our revenue and our carryovers, that's, as I'll go over in the next slide, that's our total resources. So we can never appropriate and spend over what our available resources are. So if we continue to estimate our resources, I would say reasonably low. We don't want to make it so low that we can't do our jobs, but we want to do it to where we maintain flexibility in our budget. So here's a look at the available resources over the last several years. Conservative carryover estimates continue to be utilized. For budgeting purposes next year, we're assuming about an $8 million carryover. The average over the past several years is $10 million. This is leaving us a comfortable cushion, which we will begin using for an annual debt service payment of somewhere between 1.5 and 1.7 million once financing is secured for the new county building. So the total resources that we're looking at for next year is the $8 million carryover, the calendar revenue of 31.5, so that gives us a total of 39.5 million. Okay, so on to the expenses. We have a general fund operating expense of 33.9 million, a decrease over the transfers of 2 million. Now, just like last year, we need to keep in mind that there was a $1.2 million Board of Election equipment purchase that was not done, which we had to then push over to 2020. So the difference, a vast majority of the difference is that 1.2 million for Board of Elections and also the emergency fund, as I mentioned earlier. The actual decrease, as I mentioned earlier, I believe it is more in the neighborhood of $400,000. As with previous years, we've not budgeted any increases in employee wages unless it's mandated by a labor agreement. This year, the county has budgeted no increase in the county portion of hospitalization. As you can see on here, the last 2 years, we've actually had decreases in our premiums of 1.2% in 2009 and 1.6% this year. The employees' insurance deductions have remained the same. The increase that will be used for the permanent appropriations will be determined once the renewal for next year has been revealed. This is usually in the September, October timeframe. And so these numbers up here, as far as what we do, is still subject to change once we get that information. So this year, we also endeavored to try and reduce the amount of unused appropriations in the expense budget. So typically, in the general fund and in the county as a whole, only 85% of our appropriations are actually used. This can make budgeting difficult when about $5 million for the general fund and almost $19 million for the county overall are not being utilized. There are a number of legitimate reasons for this, but we were just trying to get the departments to look at their usage and make informed decisions as to what they really need in their expense accounts. Specifically, we reduced all contract services, materials and supplies, and miscellaneous other expense accounts. Most of these reductions were not maintained by many of the departments. Some were, and even a few were reduced more than the 10%. And this only affected the initialized budgets. And it was a 10% reduction based on the amended budgets for this year. So here's a pie chart look at the general fund expenses. Again, this is net of the transfers out. So the general fund expenses are predominantly personnel related. About 70% of the expenses are related to salaries, benefits, and hospitalization. This is up slightly from last year, primarily due to the fact that equipment and miscellaneous expenses have been reduced, making the more fixed personnel costs a larger part of the overall budget. In fact, salaries, Medicare, and OPERS actually decreased in the general fund by a little over $300,000 in 2021 versus what was approved in the permanent appropriations for this year. Contract services include items like building and grounds maintenance, cleaning, and security. Other expenses include, to name a few, legal fees, workers' compensation, utilities, fuel, travel, training, and advertising. Other expenses dropped by about 4% from this year, or about $1.25 million. Almost half of this is the contingency account, which is short, as I mentioned, $500,000 from this year, which we would like to increase once the actual carryover is determined. And the equipment line item, which didn't even really show up on the pie chart, because we like to zero those out until the supplemental time. It would be right between materials and supplies and other expenses. So here's kind of a further breakdown of the general fund operating expenses, and this is by category. So the chart shows the split of the general fund spending, again, minus the transfers out. Nearly 40% of the budget goes to public safety, which includes the sheriff, coroner, and the building department. Almost 34% of the budget goes to legislative and executive, which is the other elected officials, including the auditor, treasurer, prosecutor, commissioners, recorder, as well as the board of elections, ADP, planning and maintenance. Judicial makes up about 16% of the budget, includes the courts and the public defender. The remaining categories are relatively small. Conservation and recreation is the OSU, extension and soil and water, about 2%. Human services is the Veterans Service Commission, another 2%. Health is the Bureau for Children with Medical Handicaps, requirement that the county fund 0.1 mil to treat handicapped children in the county. And this has been a relatively low expense for us the last couple of years. So I have been budgeting it lower initially with maintaining enough unappropriated balance to increase that if need be. But I again, as with some of the other things, with the unused appropriations, we found ourselves appropriating or encumbering $300,000 and only spending, $50. So I just couldn't justify that. So miscellaneous. Let me go back. Hold on. So miscellaneous right now includes the youth center funding at about $416,000. The Portage Geauga Joint Juvenile Detention Center at about $450,000. Legal fees, including appointed counsel, at $162,000. Our annual insurance premium, about $350,000. Postage at $200,000, and the Court of Appeals at $70,000. So here's a look at all this by the numbers. So public safety, that $500,000 decrease, those are right now the items that remain to be funded primarily in the Sheriff's Department, including the vehicles and some of the salary changes. Legislative and executive, and that primarily went down there because of that, the $1.2 million, as I mentioned, and the $500,000 for the contingency account. That was from the Board of Elections equipment. Judicial, conservation, recreation, a lot of these, for the most part, stayed the same. So to just kind of wrap this up, I just wanted to say three basic things that we're looking at for next year. We've approached this budget, what we feel is a balanced, realistic approach for budgeting our revenue and expenses. Taking a look at the history of what we budgeted, what we reasonably can receive, while maintaining some of that flexibility, like I mentioned. We want to take care of what we have to preserve, and we want to consolidate what we need to for our future. And again, as always, we want to analyze the marketplace for the county so we can customize an approach for attracting and retaining a quality workforce and businesses in Geauga County. So I guess I'll open it up to the floor for anybody that has any questions, wants any clarifications.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Question? Very thorough. If you can just state your name, please, and
Hi, my name's Jesse. I'm sorry, I'm kind of new to local government. What's the ADP?
That's the Automatic Data Processing Board. So it's made up of several elected officials in the county that meet and kind of coordinate the computer systems, the software that we use, anything that's connected to the county's network in order to maintain efficiency and compatibility, essentially. So they approve any technology expenses before they have a purchase order made for them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Okay. All right.
Now, we're not actually signing the tax budget today. This was just the presentation. The commissioners will be signing the tax budget at the meeting next Tuesday, so.
Great. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you.
Appreciate your effort, and especially through this whole COVID crisis. And you know, at the end of the day, it looks like we're going to take a hit, but not maybe as big as we anticipated. But
Hopefully not. Yeah, it remains to be seen still.
Yeah,
but
right. There's still some
we're definitely watching
Yep.
stuff. So.
Yep.
I should see that in about 2 weeks,
Yeah. Good.
April.
Very good.
We have seen a lot of the departments, you know, not only those under the Commissioner's hiring authority, but other elected officials reducing their spending
Yep.
as a result of this.
Yeah, it's
Everybody's taking this seriously with regards to budget.
Absolutely.
Good cause, good problem.
It's been a group effort. Very good. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, if we could turn the lights back on, please. Okay, a motion to close the public hearing, please? Oh, no, okay, just adjourn. Okay. Okay, other than that, we will be closed, the county offices are closed Friday, for the 4th of July. And hopefully everyone has a safe and enjoyable holiday. So other than that, any questions or comments? Yes?
I was looking at the proposed budget online. Why is the prosecutor having an increase in, their department, but the defender is not? And but the defender is having a decrease? Shouldn't those go together?
We would have to ask specifically what the prosecutor, I mean, we didn't break down their budget specifically, but I would, you know, there could be all kinds of different reasons why one's going up and why it's going down.
Well,
Yeah. Go ahead.
has that kicked in where the Indigent Defense Act in Columbus, where the state's picking up more of the money than the local counties? Has that kicked in yet?
Yes.
From the public defenders. The public defenders have gone from a reimbursement from the state of around 40% to a reimbursement from the state of around 85% of their costs. So that may be a result of why the public defenders' numbers are going down.
We can find out though specifically.
Yeah, we can get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the prosecutor's office was one of the last budgets that I was able to receive, and I only got it like maybe a couple weeks ago. So I really didn't have adequate time to vet it as much as I probably could have, but
So how much did it go up, you know?
I don't think it went up a whole lot.
Okay.
I think part of it was him maybe moving some resources around
Yeah.
as well, so maybe that got picked up in other accounts, but.
And one of the things with personnel, which would include Prosecutor Flays, is that with the change in the
That's correct.
elected official pays from the state.
That could be it too.
So there could, some of that would be an increase.
Yeah. But we haven't gone through their specific budgets yet at the commissioners officially. We haven't, gone through their submitted budgets yet.
Oh, well, that's part of all this.
Yeah.
So there are several elected officials' salaries that are going up next year as a result of the different elections and stuff like that. So one of the things that, and Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't automatically increase the public defenders' salaries and stuff. Those are things that he has to request us for. So we've not received a request yet to increase any of their expense accounts over and above what they've currently requested. So I'm sure, as the budgets and the pay for the prosecutor and the public defender kind of become light to them, I'm sure we'll probably be receiving some sort of request from them to reach more parity between the two.
Great. And could we get your name for the record?
My name's Jesse.
Jesse. Your last name?
My formal name is Jessica Kirschman.
Okay, great.
Kirschman.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, Diane.
Okay, Diane Jones, Auburn Township. Following up on Jerry's commentary about the prosecutor, what is the current prosecutor salary?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I think it's around 140,000.
Okay, but do
But
go.
that's mandated through the
By the
Ohio
state.
Revised Code, and that's, the increases are Ohio Revised, that was changes that the state legislature made. I
Right.
think it was about 3 or 4 years ago now, and it's just a matter of, the elected officials can't get, under the law, can't get a pay raise until after the next election. So it's taken a while for
Right.
a lot of those to.
And that's the rate too for a prosecutor that does not have a public or a private practice. So, and Prosecutor Flays does not have his own private practice outside of the prosecutor's office. So that's why it's more. It's quite a bit less if you have a lawyer who has a private practice, but.
So does that affect Prosecutor Gillette?
I don't know the answer to that question.
That's-
I would
He's
imagine
retired.
yes.
City, yeah, that's
He's
city.
retired.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
the city,
Yeah.
and cities follow
on his own
completely
now.
different rules.
Okay,
They're able to make
And
their
I think they
own,
can
some
pay-
money, they're able to make their own rules.
Yeah.
thank you.
And I know there's some other things that get paid for besides, the salary, the prosecutor salary. I think he qualifies for some other types of income. right?
Yeah, there's an account called the Furtherance of Justice Fund.
Mhm.
And that is always like a fixed percentage of his wages, and he can use that money to buy certain things or do certain things.
Right.
And anything that's left over gets refunded back to the county.
But, so when will our budget review meetings begin? When is that?
Typically, that's in like September,
September?
for the most
So,
part. yeah.
that might be a good time to come, because each individual elected, official in office and all the departments come before the commissioners to review that budget, and that's a good time to get, specifics and details. And a
Yeah,
good time to
that's-
ask questions, too.
Yeah, that's leading up to the permanent appropriations, which are approved in December.
But, looking at your hours, I might not be able to come on school during the week.
Well, that one's, yeah, they are during the day, but, during the week, but they set up appointments all throughout, it lasts probably, 2 or 3 days, I think, or something, so.
Yeah, and those schedules are made public as well, so.
Yeah. We can make sure to get you a notice.
We'll have to see when it comes around. So you've mentioned we've consistently gotten increases in revenue across different things. Is that why a lot of these departments' budgets have increased faster than inflation? I was looking at the sheriff's department specifically, and the proposed budget for that is 11.7 million around that. And the 2018 budget, accounting for inflation, would be 11.5 million. So would that be the reason for that, or?
Well, the sheriff's department also has a union where they recently negotiated a new contract with their people. So some of that stuff is just a fixed cost for them. And the sheriff is in the back there, but
Mr. LeGrand,
But so-
congratulations on your reelection.
So that is something that has recently impacted them, negotiating with their staff for their wage increases. I think there has been some staff increases at the sheriff's office as well, as they take on more responsibility. As our county continues to grow, there's more things that are put on the sheriff's department to help secure and maintain and stuff. So I think his staff has increased a little bit. They've had some retirements. There's some retirements that they have to budget for as well. So there are a lot of things that make law enforcement a little more expensive sometimes than what the rate of inflation is. But with the help of Sheriff Hildenbrand, we've tried to control those as much as possible. I know he got some concessions in the labor agreement for the next 3 years to kind of offset some of those increases, but That's what we're looking at.
I was actually looking it up, our county has only grown in population about 0.2% since 2010, so, I don't think that would be enough to account for that, just.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that that's the only reason, no. Any other questions?
Yeah, I would like to ask Ralph Spinarelli why he, described the peaceful protesters, of which I was one in Chagrin, as, punks who don't contribute anything to the community.
We're not going back down this road.
What?
We're not going back down this road.
I felt very.
Okay, you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm not gonna
I would
start
personally
commenting
like
again.
a commissioner that respects the role of peaceful assembly.
I think
and
we
democracy.
covered this at our last meeting. We're not going back down this again. I move to adjourn.
I just think that, just to, not speak for Ralph, but, I was part of that conversation. I don't think he was calling the peaceful protesters, specifically in Chagrin Falls, punks. That's not, he wasn't referring to those. I think he was talking about the ones that are out tearing stuff down, looting and rioting, not the peaceful protesters. So
But he was
I think it's
talking
pretty
about the
clear.
county, and
Yeah.
that hasn't happened.
Yes, sir.
As Jim McNeil from Troy Township, I'd like to delineate between Black Lives Matter with capital letters and Black Lives Matter with small letters. I'm a big proponent of small letters because Black Lives Matter, white, yellow, red, and brown lives matter as well. All lives matter. And when looking to go into a protest, it is wise to perform your due diligence about the organizations for whom you're representing or protesting. For example, we have BLM Capitals, we have Antifa, and we have a new arrival, the Revolutionary Abolitionist Movement. These are founded and operated by trained and self-proclaimed Marxists. They support the violent overthrow of the U.S. government. They advocate and support criminal trespass and destruction of private and public property. History abundantly shows that killing statues will satisfy these radical leftist criminals only for so long. Next are people. And I like with a quote from the Revolutionary Abolitionist Movement, action point number 10 on their website. Liberation begins where America dies. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to speak, I haven't heard of that last one, but,
Look it up, RAM, online.
but, BLM has at no point supported the violent overthrow of the U.S. government and is not
You need to check the founders.
Marxist.
You need to check their founding philosophy, please.
It
And
asks
I
for
ask you
some
please to
basic
do so.
police reforms. That's
But
not,
you
I don't
do
think,
feel
a
like
radical
it's
leftist agenda. Furthermore, Antifa isn't an organization. It's just
Motion
a
to adjourn.
movement of being
Thank you.
All in favor?
Second.
anti-fascist.
I vote yes.